There are two kinds of silence in this world. There's the kind that heals you, the deep, peaceful quiet that settles into your bones and tells you everything's all right. And then there's the other kind, the silence that's tight as a drumhead, just waiting for something to snap. For 3 years after my wife Elenina passed this porch swing looking out over Azure Lake only gave me the good kind. It was my sanctuary, you know. Me a mug of coffee warming my hands, the scent of the pine trees she planted drifting around me. The world just made sense. The only clock I cared about was the gentle lap of water on the shore. I'd talk to her memory out there in the quiet. It was sacred. It was mine. But that Saturday, the silence was holding its breath. And then it broke. Not with a bang or a crash, just a crunch, tires rolling slow over the gravel of my long driveway, deliberate and out of place. My neighbors always called first. The mail carrier never came after noon, so anyone else was lost or trouble. I stayed put, just watched my hand on my mug while a black sedan came creeping into view at the end of the drive, crawling forward like a stray dog casing the place. Then out of nowhere, this cheap stick-on bar of red and blue lights started flashing on the roof, a sad, silent imitation of real authority. My body didn't tense, but all my old courtroom instincts woke up the same way I'd get when a witness's story didn't quite add up. 2 men got out, meant to look like county sheriffs, but even from a distance I clocked a dozen things off. Uniforms, too light, cheap holster, fake swagger, playing dress-up, not carrying real weight. The taller guy, the one with the plastic-looking gun, walked up like he owned the place, planted his feet wide at the bottom of my porch steps and called out Mr. Vance. He tried for deep and commanding, but just sounded thin. I sipped my coffee, made him wait. I said. Sir, we're with the County Enforcement Division, he announced. We have a verbal order from the court. You're instructed to immediately dismantle the fence along the northern edge of your property. I almost laughed out loud. A verbal order amateur hour. I just stared at him, then looked over at his buddy who was sweating by the car. This wasn't anger, it was that cold, clear focus you get before dropping a gavel. These guys weren't the problem, they were tools sent by someone who'd mistaken my peace and quiet for weakness. And I knew exactly who. Cynthia Davenport, queen of the Oak Haven Estates, Homeowners Association, the Picasso of passive-aggressive letters. That fence they wanted gone. It was a rustic split rail, been there since my dad's time, marking the line between my wild, honest land and their manicured kingdom. Now someone had sent wannabe lawmen to erase it. I set my mug down, made it loud enough to echo. County Enforcement Division, I said slow. I'm not familiar with that, and I've been working with the county for a long, long time. What's your name, son, and your badge number? That swagger in his eyes flickered. Sir, we don't, he started. Oh, but you do. I cut in, giving him that same voice I used for sentencing, quiet but sharp as a knife. If you're really law enforcement or pretending to be the citizen has every right to check. So again, name, badge number, and which judge gave you a verbal order? He was out of his depth, you could see it. His partner was ready to bolt. I stood up slowly, deliberately, reminding them I was bigger than both, not just in size, but in the weight of real authority, earned, not sewn onto a sleeve. Let me save you both some trouble, I said, voice cold as stone. My name's Judge Arthur Vance. I preside over Superior Court in this county, the very court you claim to represent. The color drained from his face. He understood. No such order exists, I said. Pulling out my phone and impersonating a law officer is a felony in this state. You have 30 seconds to get off my property before I make a call you really won't like. They didn't need 30 seconds. They scrambled clumsy as kids, peeling out so fast the dust took a minute to settle. And right there in that settling silence, I realized this wasn't the end. This was the shot that started the real battle. I called Sheriff Pat O'Connell, not 911. I wanted someone who understood lines that shouldn't be crossed. While the phone rang, my mind ran back not just minutes, but months, sifting through every passive-aggressive letter, every thinly veiled threat Cynthia had sent. That land, Elenina and I built it from wild woods and dreams, her planting roses, me hauling rocks, both of us making a home. After she was gone, all that was left of her was here, the porch swing, the books, the way the light hit the kitchen table. Then Oak Haven Estates started to rise across the cove, big sterile houses packed together like luxury sardines, lawns so green they glowed. They built walls, Guards, rules, trying to keep out anything real. The first shot was a letter thick as a wedding invitation from Cynthia herself, telling me my fence didn't fit their aesthetic standards, suggesting vinyl. I laughed and sent her back a legal brief with boundary lines, county codes, the works. I figured that would be it, my mistake. Her next letter ignored the law, harping on community harmony and my responsibility. Then came the complaints about the wildflowers and milkweed. Elenina loved now fire hazards, apparently. This wasn't about fences or weeds, it was about control. My wild, untamed patch made her perfect world look messy, and she wasn't going to stop. So I started my own file, every letter, every notice, all dated and logged. When the letters didn't work, she took it public online posts, painting me as the cranky, blighted old man lowering property values. My neighbor Bob, retired engineer and all-around good guy, showed me. I didn't reply. I wasn't about to get in a digital mud fight. My silence probably made her even madder. Then the black sedan started showing up, cruising slow past my drive. Ran the plate private security out of the city, known for rough tactics. That's when my blood ran cold. Cynthia was leveling up, moving from paper cuts to real threats. Pat showed up not long after the impersonators fled. Big guy linebacker shoulders, steely eyes, seen more of human nature than most people would want. I gave him the plate, described the uniforms, the phony order. He didn't say much, just took it all in. Impersonating an officer, he said finally on a sitting judge's property, "Some people think a gate makes them kings." "She thinks she's queen," I muttered. He just nodded. "Her reign's about to have a very bad day." He clapped me on the shoulder, told me to go make more coffee, and drove off. I knew what that meant. Pat doesn't leave things unfinished. That Monday, I put on my old courtroom suit, feeling the armor settle over me, and went to see District Attorney Evelyn Reed. Sharp as a tack, tough as they come. Someone I'd sworn in myself. I laid out the file letters, notices online, posts, photos, timeline. She saw it for what it was, a pattern of coercion, intimidation, conspiracy, maybe even wire fraud. "Give me 48 hours, she said. "I'll see how deep this goes." It went deep, all right. Pat tracked down the security firm Vanguard Protection Solutions. And once deputies showed up, the owner caved, handed over names, work schedules, the contract. The contract signed by Cynthia Davenport herself. 2 employees paid extra to shake up the stubborn old judge. Both confessed when the felony charges came up. Cynthia had coached them personally, told them to use the phrase verbal order from the court. Then Evelyn's investigators pulled the HOA's bank records, found a $5,000 wire to the security firm signed with Cynthia's own digital signature. She hadn't even tried to hide it. Thursday, Evelyn called me, voice tight but satisfied. "We have everything: Arthur sworn statements, money trail, contract confessions. It's ironclad. Warrants being signed right now. Different judge to avoid conflict." I watched the whole thing from my porch at dawn. Coffee and hand binoculars out, saw the deputies roll up to the Oak Haven gates. A few minutes later, they came out with Cynthia between them, small, diminished armor gone. Even from a distance, you could feel her world collapsing. The law isn't always quick, but it finds its mark. I skipped the hearing, didn't want my presence clouding things. But Evelyn called with the verdict. Cynthia's lawyer tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, but when Evelyn laid out the campaign of harassment, the forged notices, the money trail, there was nowhere to hide. Conspiracy, impersonating officers, witness intimidation, wire fraud, bail, set at $250,000. The judge called her a flight risk and a danger. Cynthia wasn't going anywhere soon. News spread like wildfire. HOA president arrested for hiring fake cops to intimidate a judge. 2 board members resigned on the spot, terrified. The HOA was bankrupt, the state launched an audit, and the fancy sign at Oak Haven became a monument to arrogance. I figured that was the end. I got my peace back, spent my days gardening, rowing my little boat, watching eagles hunt. But about a month later, 3 people showed up: Bob and 2 former board members. They looked beat down, carrying shame, not anger. Judge Vance Bob started, "We came to apologize. We let Cynthia do this. We sat quiet. We never thought it'd go so far. For our silence and what it cost you, we're sorry." I listened. The easy thing would have been to cut them down, but what would that fix? I told them Cynthia was a symptom, not the disease. You let her rules become your rules. You let fear run your community. They nodded, unsure what to do. The HOA was dead, the place a mess. We were hoping you'd help us fix it. I thought of Elenina, who believed any garden could be reclaimed with patience. I won't be your president, I said, but if you draft real bylaws, fair, simple, respectful, I'll review them. I'll help you rebuild, not rule. They took me up on it. Over the next few months, the HOA was dissolved, a new neighborhood cooperative formed, just a page of basic principles. No more rules about mailbox colors, just agreements about shared roads, keeping the lake clean. The old guardhouse became a library and tool shed. The online forum turned into a place for potlucks for helping neighbors. The fear was gone, replaced by the slow, uncertain beginnings of a real community. Now it's autumn. The air is crisp, the lake calm, the silence once again the healing kind. The old file Oak Haven versus Sanity burned to ash in my fireplace. Cynthia's in state custody, her name a cautionary tale. She thought she could break a man's peace with fake power, never realizing some of us are built from sterner stuff. She brought war to my door, thinking I was just a tired old man, but in the end the law found her, the community found itself, and I found my quiet again. So what do you think? Is justice just punishment? Or does it mean building something better after the fire burns out? Let me know in the comments, where do you draw the line between order and freedom, and who really gets to decide?